Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I never expected a routine scan to turn into a life detour, but that's exactly what happened. The doctor called me into his office after running tests on some abdominal pain I'd been brushing off. He sat me down, cleared his throat, and said, "Derek, we've found a tumor pressing against your kidney. It's benign, but it has to come out." The word benign steadied me, but everything after that felt heavy. Surgery was booked in 3 weeks, minimum of 4 weeks recovery. First week, I'd need someone around in case anything went wrong. I walked out of the hospital and called Sandra. She picked up on the third ring, the sound of a hairdryer in the background. "Hey, babe," I started. "You remember that pain I've been having?" "Yes," she said. "I'm getting ready." "What's up?" "They found a growth on my kidney. I need surgery in April." The hairdryer snapped off. "Surgery? What kind of surgery?" "April 15th. They have to remove the tumor. Doctor says it's straightforward, but recovery's serious." Silence stretched. Then, "April 15th? That's when I'm in Vegas." I felt the bottom drop out. "I know. I'm sorry. But maybe you can push the trip a little?" She gave a short laugh, sharp as glass. "Derek, I've been planning this for 6 months. Flights, hotel, shows. Everyone's counting on me. This isn't a dentist appointment. They can't just shuffle me to another week. I need someone here after surgery." "You'll be fine. They'll keep you overnight, right? Get a nurse. Don't guilt me into canceling Vegas." I didn't argue. I just listened, letting her voice run until she said she'd think about it, and hung up. Sitting there in the parking lot, I realized something I hadn't wanted to see. I'd been holding on to a version of us that didn't exist anymore. While I was planning a vow renewal trip for our anniversary, Sandra was planning an escape. The tickets were already in my desk drawer, but now they felt like a punchline. That night I cooked dinner, something simple. Sandra came home late from work, scrolled her phone while I set plates down, and only looked up when I started talking. "The surgeon was clear," I said. "First week after surgery, I'll need someone here. Not just to drive me home, but to watch for fever, bleeding, complications." She cut into the chicken, unimpressed. "It's routine, Derek. People get surgeries all the time. You're acting like it's life or death." "It's my kidney, Sandra. They're cutting into me. It's not just another Tuesday. Vegas is once in a lifetime. We booked the suite, the shows, and the pool passes. Canceling means throwing thousands away. The girls would kill me." "I'm not asking you to give up a spa weekend," I said, keeping my tone level. "I'm asking you to be here when I come out of surgery. Just the first week." "Hire someone," she shot back. "That's what people do. I'll check in from Vegas. FaceTime if you want." The way she said it, like FaceTime could swap out for being present, told me exactly where I ranked. After dinner, she disappeared into the bedroom. I sat at the kitchen table, pulled out my phone, and texted her. "I'm nervous. I've never had surgery before. I really need you there." Hours passed. When her reply finally buzzed through, it read, "LOL. You actually thought I'd cancel my Vegas trip for your surgery? You'll be fine. Don't guilt me." I stared at it for a long time. Then I opened the hospital portal and switched my emergency contact from Sandra to my sister, Elaine. I called Elaine next, explained what was happening. She didn't hesitate. "I'll book a flight. Don't worry about a thing." The contrast was sharp. Sandra was arguing about show tickets. Elaine was packing her bag. I lay awake that night listening to Sandra's laughter from the living room as she FaceTimed her friends about nightclub reservations. I realized she'd already made her choice. The morning of April 15th, I woke to the sound of Sandra's suitcase wheels on the hardwood floor. She was already dressed for her flight. She leaned down, gave me a quick peck on the cheek, and said, "Don't die, okay? Text me when you wake up." Then she grabbed her bag and was gone. An hour later, Elaine pulled into the driveway. She had flown in late the night before and showed up with coffee and a steady presence that immediately calmed me. "You ready?" she asked, lifting my overnight bag into the car. At St. Martin Medical, Nurse Marisol Vega checked me in. She explained the privacy code system. Without the code, no one could get updates. I asked her to lock everything down. She gave a knowing smile and made the change. By mid-morning, I was on a gurney, Dr. Park walking me through the steps. "We'll remove the mass laparoscopically," he said. "Recovery should be smooth. You're in good hands." When I woke, Groggy but alive, Elaine was waiting with a smile. "You did great," she said, squeezing my hand. The phone on the side table buzzed nonstop. Sandra. First, a string of casual texts. "Boarding now. Vegas, here I come." Then, hours later, "How's it going? Did you wake up yet? Why aren't you answering? This is childish." Elaine muted the phone. "Focus on healing," she said. I closed my eyes, grateful she was there. Sandra was busy with cocktails and slot machines, but my sister had flown across the country to sit in a plastic chair and hand me sips of water. By the evening, Nurse Marisol returned. "Your wife called the hospital twice already," she said with a smirk. "But without the code, we can't tell her anything. Just letting you know." I nodded. "That's fine." She made her choice. By the next morning, Sandra had shifted gears. When the hospital wouldn't give her information, she started filling in the blanks herself. It began with a text. "They said you were asleep." "Asleep? How long? This sounds bad." Elaine read it over my shoulder and shook her head. "She's reaching." A few hours later, Sandra posted on Facebook, "Please pray for Derek. His surgery was more complicated than we thought." The comments rolled in, friends offering sympathy, old coworkers writing that they were sending positive vibes. Elaine pulled the post up on her phone and raised her eyebrows. "Complicated? You're sitting here eating Jell-O." "She wants attention," I said. "Let her have it." That night, the flood intensified. Photos of Sandra with her friends at poolside bars shifted to tearful selfies in a hotel bathroom. Captions read, "Trying to stay strong while my husband fights for his life." The comments multiplied. "So sorry, girl. Stay strong." One person asked, "Wait, didn't you say it was minor?" Sandra replied, "That's what we thought." But things changed fast. Elaine laughed, then turned serious. "Are you going to shut this down?" I shook my head. She's the one writing fiction. I'm just recovering. Elaine showed me the missed calls on her phone. 5, then 10, then more. Each voicemail carried the same frantic pitch. "Tell me where he is. Why won't anyone talk to me?" Nurse Marisol came in on evening rounds and gave me a sly smile. "Your wife's persistent. Called our desk again. Still no code, still no info." "She's building her own story," I said. "And we're not confirming a word," Marisol replied. Hospital rules. That night, Elaine posted a photo of herself in the waiting room chair, reading a paperback. No tags, no context, just a caption, "Holding down the fort." Within minutes, Sandra was texting me again. "Is that the hospital? Why is Elaine posting instead of me?" I powered my phone off. I wasn't going to feed her performance. By the second day, Sandra's posts had turned into full-blown theater. She uploaded a crying video in the hotel lobby. "I can't enjoy Vegas while Derek is in critical condition. I'm flying back early. Love means sacrifice." Sandra kept calling. Marisol showed me a tally sheet the night staff had started keeping. Every call from Sandra marked with a line. 17 times last night," Marisol said with a grin. "It's practically a record." Elaine snorted. "She'll burn her phone battery before she burns through this hospital's rules." Around noon, the patient advocate, Belinda Morris, stopped by. "Your wife's been trying every back channel she can think of," she said. "I just want to check. Do you want her getting updates?" "No," I said simply. "Elaine's my contact." Belinda nodded. "That's your right. We'll keep the wall up." Meanwhile, Sandra escalated online. She posted, "Vegas trip canceled. Rushing home to my husband, who's fighting for his life." Pictures showed her at the airport with mascara streaked down her face. Her friends filled the comments with heart emojis and prayer hands. Elaine handed me her phone again. "She's turning this into a movie trailer." Sandra tried FaceTiming me from the boarding gate. Elaine answered instead. "He's resting," she told her flatly. "Family only." Sandra shouted, "This is insane. He's dying and you're keeping me away." Elaine hung up without a word. I leaned back against the pillow, exhaustion mixing with a strange calm. Sandra was chasing her own narrative while I was surrounded by people who actually showed up. "Think she'll tone it down once she lands?" Elaine asked. "Not a chance," I said. On the morning of day 3, Dr. Park came in with a smile. "Everything looks good, Derek. No complications, clean margins. You're cleared to go home today." Elaine started gathering my things while Marisol printed out the paperwork. I felt lighter than I had in weeks, until the door slammed open. Sandra burst in, hair a tangled mess, makeup smeared. She looked at me, then at Elaine, and let out a shaky laugh. "Oh my God, you're alive." "I told you it was routine," I said evenly. "I've been calling this hospital nonstop. No one would tell me anything. Do you know how humiliating that is? People think I abandoned you." "You didn't just think that, Sandra. You posted it," Elaine said, her voice sharp. Sandra glared at her. "Stay out of this." Dr. Park cleared his throat. "For the record, Mr. Miller's surgery went smoothly. There were no complications." Sandra blinked. "But," the nurse said. Marisol stepped forward. "I told you he was sleeping. You decided that meant critical. That was your interpretation, not mine." Sandra's face flushed. "So you all let me think he was dying? That's manipulation." "No," I said, my tone calm. "You created your own story." I was recovering. "You were in Vegas." Her hands trembled as she pointed at me. "I left early. I gave up 2 days of my trip for you." Elaine laughed outright. 2 days? "He needed you for 1 week, Sandra, not after the party was over." Sandra looked around the room like she was searching for backup. No one gave her any. Finally, she sat down hard in the visitor's chair. "You don't understand. People online are tearing me apart. They're calling me selfish." "Maybe they're just paying attention," I said, for once. Dr. Park handed me the discharge papers, and Marisol slipped my wristband into an envelope. "You're free to go, Derek," she said gently. Sandra looked at me with wide eyes. "You can't just leave with her," she said, nodding at Elaine. "We live together." I met her gaze. "Not for long." Sandra followed us down the hall. "You're overreacting, Derek. Let's just go home and talk this through." I kept walking, steady on my feet, Elaine at my side. Elaine is going with me. The doctor wants me monitored 24/7 for a week. She took time off work. You chose Vegas. "That's ridiculous," Sandra snapped. "I'm your wife. I should be the one taking you home." I stopped at the elevator and looked her straight in the eye. "You weren't here when it mattered. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." She folded her arms, trying to regain control. "You're being dramatic. Everyone cancels things sometimes. I came back early for you. Doesn't that count for anything?" "Not when early means after you'd already missed the surgery," I said. Her phone buzzed in her hand. Notifications lit up the screen, comments piling up on her posts. In the parking lot, Elaine helped me into the car. Sandra planted herself by the door. "Where are you even going to stay? Our apartment is your home." "I arranged movers last week," I said evenly. "My things will be out by the end of the month." Her jaw dropped. You were planning this?" "I was planning a vow renewal trip for our anniversary," I told her. "That envelope is still in my desk. But after you laughed when I asked for help, I called the movers instead." Sandra's face crumpled. "You can't just walk away over one mistake." "This isn't one mistake. It's a choice you made, again and again. Vegas over surgery. Image over reality. Posts over presence." She reached for my arm, her voice softer now. "Please, don't do this. We can fix it." I closed the car door. "I'm already fixing it." Elaine started the engine. Sandra stood there in the lot, still holding her buzzing phone, while I left without looking back. A week later, after the bruises faded and the soreness dulled, Sandra and I sat across from each other in a lawyer's office downtown. The papers were simple enough. Division of property, lease responsibility, no kids to complicate things. "This is insane," she muttered. "You're really ending our marriage over one trip?" I looked at her, calm. "Not one trip. Every choice that came with it." She shoved her copy of the papers into her purse. "People will think you abandoned me." "They can think what they want," I said. "I know the truth." When it was done, I walked out without looking back. I moved into a small rental on the other side of town. Nothing fancy, 1 bedroom, plain furniture, but it was quiet. On the desk, I set 2 things in a frame: the hospital wristband with my privacy code and Belinda's card, a reminder that drawing boundaries isn't cruelty, it's survival. Sandra had her Vegas trip. I had my kidney intact and my life back in my own hands. For the first time in years, I felt free. Thank you for watching.